We have heard that masturbating is something completely normal, but to what extent? How many times a day? Can you do it without being considered addicted? What if you can't stop? Let's answer these questions. And why you should stop today with this act that seems normal, but hides a trap for your life. Before we begin, I would like to apologize for the exaggerated cover, but I needed to draw your attention to this 21st century issue that weakens and harms all our young people and adults, leaving us without willpower. In this video, you will understand what happens to our brain scientifically and philosophically, and what Stoicism has to teach us about this vice. Also remember to subscribe to our channel and activate the bell so you don't miss anything. Now let's begin. Current medicine is quite clear in stating that masturbation is completely normal, not only in humans, but also evidenced in dogs and other mammals. But this view of normal masturbation was not always so. In the past, masturbating was thought to be immoral, especially in men because unproductive seed production prevented people from reproducing. In the case of women, it was believed that masturbation could distance them from men by finding pleasure on their own, and without assistance to this moral burden was added the physical burden, stating that masturbation caused diseases, so it was not advisable to practice it at all. But let's return to the present. What do we know about masturbation, especially for men suffering from insomnia? What is known is that it induces sleep. The French Institute of Health and Medical Research concluded that the male brain deactivates sexual desire after orgasm. The cerebral cortex, the area responsible for conscious thought, goes to rest once the man reaches climax. This, in addition to nullifying the desire to continue having sexual relations, facilitates sleep. Therefore, many men fall asleep after sexual activity. But what is the problem? So what is wrong? Well, hidden in one of its benefits is a trap. And if you frequent this channel, you will see what I am talking about. Masturbation releases dopamine in your brain. This hormone is responsible for making us feel better, providing calm relief from stress, reduction, and a sense of reward. This is caused by dopamine and is so pleasurable that some people become addicted. The Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Disorders Incorporated hypersexuality disorder. This classifies excessive masturbation under the category of obsessive-compulsive disorder, another vice that leads to mental and also familial destruction. In many cases, you won't be able to control yourself, and you become a slave to yourself, a victim of lack of control, thus seeking relationships with prostitutes, with multiple people, and, as we saw in a previous video, excessive consumption of pornography. These are ways that a dopamine-saturated brain finds to obtain pleasure. Pay attention. Addiction to masturbation comes from chemicals released in the brain, and as our brain adapts to the release of these, it feels the need to continually find the codes that generated the stimulation. Your brain will start asking for more and more dopamine to achieve the same pleasure it had the first time, making you always have to keep looking for how to masturbate. Again, this reaches an exaggerated point when your brain realizes that the release of dopamine is excessive and begins to block receptors in an attempt to stop you. As a result, the person performs the pleasure act. In this case, masturbates but gets nothing, which frustrates them more than they already were. Excessively masturbating to satisfy that hunger for pleasure is exactly what a smoker who never stops, someone who eats chocolate until vomiting, or even an alcoholic does. At this point, you must be wondering what Stoicism has to do with this. The Stoics Seneca, Marcus Aurelius, and Panson of Rhodes, masters of self-control and wisdom, address the view of pleasure and lust from a unique perspective. From the words of Epicurus to the intimate thoughts of Seneca, they explored the depths of human passions, a legacy that still captivates us. For the Stoics, masturbation was not just a quest for carnal satisfaction, but an opportunity to explore the limits of the body and mind. They saw it as an exercise in self-awareness and a path to true freedom. In their philosophy, mastery over worldly passions and pleasures was a conquest that elevated the human spirit. Epicurus asserted that it is not nights of pleasure, but self-control that distinguishes a good man. In this context, the ability to enjoy pleasure, while understanding and containing it, makes a difference in someone who has reached a higher level of self-awareness. Instead of being slaves to our desires, we must be their masters, as Seneca reminds us with his philosophical perspective. Stoic reflection on masturbation is not simply about repression, but deep understanding and self-mastery. This translates into the ability to direct our emotions toward a journey of conscious self-explanation. It resides not only in momentary satisfaction, but in understanding, accepting and embracing our deepest inclinations. From the Stoic perspective, every action has consequences not only for us, but also for the natural order of the universe. When we succumb to our most intense desires, as in the case of uncontrolled masturbation, we lose that harmonious connection with nature, highly valued by the Stoics. We become prisoners of our desires, drifting away from true inner serenity. Compulsive masturbation can trigger an emotional whirlwind within us where guilt, shame and dissatisfaction become constant companions. The Stoics teach us to control our intense emotions through introspection and self-regulation. By consciously facing our emotions, we learn to manage them healthily and constructively. However, the Stoics encourage us to find inner peace within ourselves. True satisfaction lies in our self-mastery and our ability to find joy in what is simple and virtuous. Allow me to share a personal inspirational story. I know someone who used to struggle with compulsive masturbation, seeking momentary refuge and pleasure, but facing an emotional storm after each act. Immersing themselves in Stoic teachings and practicing self-control and self-regulation, this person underwent a profound transformation. They learned to confront their desires and emotions, consciously finding true joy and self-control. They now live a life of inner peace and authenticity, free from the slavery of momentary desires. True satisfaction comes from living in accordance with our deepest principles and values. When we yield to fleeting desires, we lose sight of what we truly value in life. Compulsive masturbation can distance us from our noblest purposes and veer us away from the true happiness found in virtue and inner peace. By practicing meditation and mindfulness, we can promote the mental serenity needed to resist temptations and face our emotions healthily. This compulsion becomes an obstacle to mental serenity, dragging us into regrets and steering us away from the peaceful peace found in self-control and moderation. My friend, what are you doing with your life? Do you think sitting at home and watching those videos and taking pleasure with your hands can make you confident, successful? And do you think, after wasting your time and energy on those bullshits, can attract women? Or if you're a woman, then do you also think you can attract men? No, never. So my friend, think wisely. And I want you to write in the comment that I'm a powerful person. I have control over my mind. I choose to do what motivates me. I choose to do what improves me. Thanks for staying with me. You can like the video and subscribe for more.